Hello everyone, it's Julie Hedges and you are joining me live for Monday Metta on the Tarot Journey. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've been with you. Had to listen to my body a couple weeks ago and take some rest. Self-care, that's what we're talking about tonight. And so I had to do the self-care couple of weeks ago, and then last Monday, of course, was Labor Day, and many of us were enjoying a long weekend, myself included, and I was out of town and in a nice little cabin in the woods by the lake, and didn't have quite the reception that wanted to for a nice live stream with all of you, so had to postpone Monday Metta Live until this week. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for stopping by as you're on your own tarot journey, whatever path that is for you. I am here at one of my favorite sit spots. It's a Bluegrass Wildlife Preserve. So all these little nooks and crannies, these lovely fishing ponds, and places where you can just relax, where there is no ambient light. I love to come out here and look at the stars because it's in the middle of fields, and then here we have these wonderful little ponds and lakes all over. It's a nice large area. Look at the birds, and I know there are ospreys out here and short-eared owls and all these wonderful wildlife creatures. Lots of blue herons as well. So I'm talking tonight, Monday Metta Live on the Tarot Journey, talking about self-care. Self-care is a verb. Self-care is active. Self-care is something that we do. And I'm encouraging you to think about that tonight, as I'm reminding myself to think about that tonight. Self-care is a verb. Well, what does that mean? I know it's one of those maybe catchphrases or buzzwords that we hear when you talk to friends, or you talk to colleagues, or maybe you go for a reading and someone says, well, you need to brush up on your self-care. Well, what does that mean exactly? What is that self-care? Well, for me, it means literally caring for yourself. And there's an author that, I've been listening to his podcasts on YouTube, Jordan B. Peterson, and he wrote a book, 12 Rules for Living. He's got a lot of YouTube videos that are really astounding in my estimation. He's a Canadian clinical psychologist, but he really breaks down psychological concepts in practical terms. And so he wrote this book, 12 Rules for Living. And one of those chapters is about treating yourself as if you matter. Now that seems like a self-evident concept, right? But I think in our modern lives it's a little easier said than done, and it takes some planning, it takes some pre-planning, it takes some self-discipline to put ourselves in the self-care. And so this practice of metta that I share every Monday Metta on the Tarot Journey, metta is loving kindness. So self-care and treating ourselves like we matter is all about loving kindness. And so that's why I say self-care is a verb. Just like Monday Metta, the metta is that loving kindness. That is a verb, that is active. So let's put ourselves in the sentence, just like we put ourselves in the metta prayer. We want to put ourselves in our own lives. I like that. Put ourselves in our own lives, because we're often putting the spouse further on the list and the kids further on the list, or aged relatives that we're caring for, putting them on the list, putting the church bazaar on the list, putting the PTA on the list, putting the ball teams and the school activities on the list, and the boss and the colleagues and all of those things further up the list than us. Self-care is so important. But at the end of the day, maybe we're just rushing and we just fall over in bed, exhausted. That self-care is the last thing that we think of. And so when I'm asking you to think of self-care and to make it an active verb in your own life, it's maybe going to take some work. It's going to take us thinking about how to care for ourselves, how to give ourselves the same care as we give our aging parents, our kids, our spouse, our boss, our friends, our colleagues, the ball team, the PTA, the church groups. All of those things. It's going to take that. And for some of us, we might not know where to start. So I'm going to give you a little preview about what I'm going to talk about next week on the Tarot Journey. The Tarot Journey is every third Monday of the month at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and we talk for a good long time, and then I get to do readings with you, so I love that part. But here's a little preview of what I'm going to go really in depth in during the Tarot Journey show. But on Monday Metta, I want to just give us a little taste of how can you figure out how to make self-care a priority. Well, it's going to take some practice. It's going to take some forethought. And it's going to take you really thinking about what you enjoy, what gives you pleasure, what you appreciate about yourself, what you appreciate about others, what you wish others would appreciate about you. All of those things to think about. And as an astrologer, I know just where to go to find some of those answers, to kind of look in the nooks and crannies of people's psyches and their personalities and their makeup, their bone structure, their foundation, their blueprint. And I'm going to give you that little secret. So if you have your astrology birth chart, you can go here to find some of those answers. So what you want to do is pull out your chart and look at the planet of Venus. It looks like a circle above a cross. And I'm sure you can find that on the internet, and on the cover of the book, women are from Venus, men are from Mars, that kind of thing, right? That symbol of Venus. You're going to look at first where the planet Venus is in your chart. What sign? It can be in one of 12 places, because there are 12 zodiac signs. So what sign is your Venus in? Venus is all about enjoyment, appreciation, beauty, love, self-esteem, self-value, caring for oneself. So self-care, that's all in Venus's territory. So find out where your Venus is. And once you find that and you know, here are some clues and some tips about what I enjoy, what I appreciate about other people, what I want people to appreciate about me, how I show appreciation, how I value myself, how I value others, what items and possessions and material are important to me. That's all in Venus's territory. So you can look at your natal chart to get some ideas. So look at the sign that Venus is in, and you'll have a little clue about whether Venus is in an earth sign, for example, so that would be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, if Venus is in an earth sign for you, then the things that you appreciate and enjoy and want people to appreciate about you are very earthy, down to earth, practical, material. So maybe you like buying gifts for people. Maybe you appreciate gifts being bought for you. Maybe you like to be shown in practical ways. So those would be earthy examples of how Venus operates. Or maybe your Venus is in a water sign. So that's going to be Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Venus in a water sign is going to be pretty emotionally demonstrative in what they enjoy and what they appreciate and what they value about themselves and others, and want others to appreciate, enjoy, and invest in them. So a lot of feeling, a lot of sentiment. Are you a sentimental person? Do you like to hold on to notes? Do certain songs just make you swoon because you have those memories, those valuable memories? That could be Venus in a water sign. Or what about Venus in a fire sign? Okay, so that would be Aries or Leo or Sagittarius. Venus in a fire sign is going to be pretty va-va-va-voom, pretty active, passionate, driven, wants to do things, wants to explore, wants to pioneer. So those are the kinds of things that Venus in a fire sign would appreciate and value and be enthusiastic about, and the kind of beauty that Venus appreciates. And lastly, if you have Venus in an air sign, so an air sign, that's going to be Gemini or Libra or Aquarius. Venus in an air sign is going to be maybe a little bit more intellectual, thinking more about what she appreciates, thinking more about what they esteem or value. Maybe really ideas rather than doing. So those are some ideas about how your Venus operates and how you can really tune into your own value system, what you appreciate, what you enjoy, what you value. And then the deeper part of Venus is your self-value, and how we started off this talk about treating yourself as if you matter. And again, that's a piece of Jordan B. Peterson's new book, 12 Rules for Living. Treat yourself like you matter. And I think that is all part of self-care. Self-care being a verb, meaning that we have to do it. We have to commit to it. We have to practice it. We have to practice it. And it's one of those things that if you do incremental pieces along the way and you incorporate that into your routine, it becomes a habit. I was talking to a client last week, and I invited that client to accept an assignment, to accept a mission, 21 days of self-care. And I think when we are going through crisis or concern, that really zeroing back to basics can help us get our bearings. That's not negating any rough and tumble and grief and hardship that we are undergoing, or illness, all of that. I understand that. I'm going through my own too right now. I'm slogging around in the muck of the mire, just like a lot of you are. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate our toils and our labors and our struggles. But if we can balance that out with some self-care that you will do. See, that's another thing. So we can make these wonderful lists of, oh, I want to do this. I want to climb Mount Everest. I love that. That's a great goal. If that's something you value and you want to work toward that and you enjoy that, then do it. But please make sure that you are folding into your daily routine little bits of that so that you can see successes in it and you can build on those successes. Self-care is active. Self-care is a practice. Self-care can be part of your routine so that you can treat yourself like you matter. And therefore you are able to give more freely and fully to others and help them understand that they matter too. So that's a pretty big snapshot of what I wanted to talk about tonight, and just give you a little bit. I'm going to go more in depth about self-care and treating yourself as if you matter. I'm going to go into that next week on the Tarot Journey show. Again, right here on the Tarot Journey page at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. We're going to talk about that, and then I'm going to get to do some readings with you. I love that. But let's close with our Metta prayer. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May you be safe. May you be at peace. May you be happy. May you be free. And the most important and maybe the most difficult one, put your hand over your heart with me. May I be at peace. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be free. Oh, thank you everyone for joining me on Monday Metta Live on the Tarot Journey. May the peace that surpasses all human understanding be with you for this week. Om Shanti. Good night.